Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, as you can see, I acquired some more orange flashlights. Most of them are Olight. I do have one Ace Beam that I picked up. The name of this one, a lot of people call it a different name. I'm going to call it Pokelight, like Pokemon. But, yeah, orange lights. I was just thinking how far flashlights have advanced since my day. I mean, yeah, I'm old. But back in the day, these are the type of flashlights we would have. This is not a complete rendition of one because it has an LED in it. That's the biggest difference that's made a difference to lighting technology and everything is using LEDs as opposed to, this is an old Techno dive light, incandescent bulbs. The way these things produce light was they would generate heat through a wire, basically setting something up so it's so hot it gets like white hot. And to keep it from burning out right away, it'd be in this little glass envelope here, usually vacuum sealed or something like that, so it can run with, without, sometimes with argon gas or krypton gas, weird stuff in there. But basically, you needed a huge battery capacity to produce a tiny amount of yellowish kind of light, which now it's known as warm white in the color spectrum. And daylight is neutral white. Cool white is a little more bluish than that. It tends to look like it throws further, but it's not giving you the same color addition. They have different things, and warm white is more like the old school ones, like candle flame and stuff like that. So back in the day, this was my tactical flashlight. It's a Surefire. It has I think it took CR123 batteries. I don't have any in there right now. I mean, but it had its special little bulb. It's still an incandescent bulb, but they, tried to bump it up. You can see they've got heavy duty stuff in there. Great light, but again, it took, those CR123s were not super normal back then. So it took kind of specialized batteries. And before that, there was, of course, Maglite, Mini Mag, and then the Solitaire. Again, pitiful amount of light compared to what you would get from, it's the same, it's a small form factor, but it's the same AAA battery as these. And the amount of light you get from one of these is ridiculous compared to what you got from the old school stuff. So my latest thing is that I've been using around the house and everything is this Perrin 2 Mini headlamp. And what's cool about this is it's light enough. You can put it on your head. Now, why would you want a headband? If you've got a tail clip, reversible tail clip on a flashlight. Well, because I don't wear a baseball cap inside the house most of the time. If it's cold, also, you wear a knit cap or something like that around your head that doesn't have a brim. So with one of these, you've got all that advantage. I mean, you could just carry the headband separately, and you can clip this guy as a little right-angle flashlight. And again, this is like taking the place of the old school GI Army, right-angle flashlight. This thing. If you wanted a red filter, you had to take it, unscrew it. In the base, you had some more little filters. I mean, it's a pretty good flashlight for its time, momentary on. There's hair and all this stuff sitting up there. The TL122 right angle flashlight. So you could clip this on your web vest and you get dismal light output compared to what you get on one of these. Now this one, besides having a white light that has 3 different modes plus a turbo, you double click it and you got 2 red light beams there. So, I mean, here's all your little specifications and everything, and all the stuff that it can do, the run times. Again, I'm not sponsored by Online. I don't get them for free. All these ones I bought, and you know, I've used other flashlights, American flashlights and stuff before, and I like Olight. I think sometimes they tend to be pricier than other things that you can get on the market, but they're innovative too. I mean, like their original one. Now this one is different. It's got heat sinks on it. It shows you a battery indicator, you know, when it comes on, whereas before it didn't. If they want to just sit on their laurels and mass produce a bunch of stuff just to make money, they wouldn't innovate. But you know, you have to keep up with stuff, or else you're gonna be left behind. You're gonna be old school. Now, Mini Maglite, you know, came out. This was a LED, you know, and when I got this one, I was amazed because it's 2 AA batteries in here, but this thing would put out as much light as a 5D cell flashlight, you know, incandescent from before, and you hold it in your hand. And it was like, wow, that is amazing. No magnetic tail cap, not rechargeable or anything like that. But it, you know, it used an LED and it had basically like a little thrower. These are for headlights, you know, for looking around. So when the let me turn this light off. When the moonlight mode comes on, it's a floody type of light, which is what you want. And not moonlight, the red light. And it's not going to mess up your night vision if your eyes are adjusted to the dark. It's fairly bright for what it is, you know. That compared to, now this has a moonlight mode. You hold it, you know, it's got a little moonlight mode. Again, which is moonlight, 2 lumens. It'll last 10 days at that. Low is 15 lumens on this one. So there's your low. It gives a nice little center spot. I can't really show it that well. But it's also kind of like uniformly around it flooding. I know. Flashlights reviews, they need candle power. They want outside beam shot patterns and all this other stuff. I'm just telling you this as, you know, an Olight user and stuff like that, that I really like what they're doing and how they give you appreciation of things like this. This wasn't even, you know, it's a little patch you can slap on there. It wasn't advertised or anything like that. It was just thrown in the thing, plus, you know, the free flashlight you get just for, I know, you know, it sounds like I'm an Olight salesman and everything, but there's more to this company than just, you know, flashlights. I know they've got their haters. It's just like if you like case knives and people hate case knives, you know. There's always going to be a division like that. My thought is, hey, spend your money wherever you want to spend it. You know, if you like these flashlights for whatever reason. I mean, like this one is Christmas colors, you know, or this one's orange. Or you like zombie green or whatever. But we've advanced from the old school heavy days. Rayovac. Made in China. It used to be made in USA. So that's another big difference, is that a lot of the American companies kind of like fell behind. You know, they let these China innovate and take over. So, but this is pretty cool. I mean, just the way it sets up. You don't have to take the clip off. If you put it on this first setting right here, it'll kind of hold it, but it slides. It just doesn't feel as secure. I mean, it's easier to turn. The second one is not really, I think, what it was designed for. Let me turn this light back on. But it'll hold it there. It'll hold it much more securely, and it won't bounce around. And that's mainly because when you push on this, you usually, I hold it like this to turn it on and everything. So you reach up with like 2 fingers to turn it on. But if you had it on this setting right here, when you go to turn it on, it slides, unless you grab it like that. So this, I think they could have made more secure on their first setting. And the second setting, which is not really a setting, if you look at the way it engages and everything, it's not really designed like that, but it'll hold. They did a pretty good job of bonding this different type of plastic to the rubber. I just don't know how secure that's going to be over time, but it looks all right. Bonded fairly well. Everything about this is fairly easy to do. It looks like it was set up so that you could also put another strap up here over the top, but you really don't need it. I have this adjusted way out because I'm wearing a wool cap, on my head. So if you've got and I've got a small hat. My head size is like 7 1/4, like medium, not small, but medium. So I've got this adjusted like, it is flexible, so it's going to expand. But I don't know about you, but if you're wearing one of these on your head, I've worn helmets and stuff before, and after a while, man, you'll get a headache from these things squeezing your brain too tight. So I don't like it's fitting too tight, but it's small enough that it'll work. Anyways, my update on this was just to let you know that I will try, like different type of flashlights. I'm not completely dedicated to Olight exclusively, but I have found them to be fairly good flashlights. Like this is the competitor to this one. They're almost priced the same. This one you can get on sale sometimes for like $19, but I paid I think like $29 for this one, mainly because it was orange. This one usually goes for around $30 or something. I don't know. The prices are different. They also run anything in there. 14500 nickel metal or lithium or alkaline. It'll run them. It gives you weird run times on it. I'm not going to go through all of that right now. I also got the i5T Plus. I like this one because of the size. The way it fits in your hand, you got a little bit more, to throw your beam out. You've got 2 modes, basically. A low and a high. Again, it steps down. Usually the thing that fries any optical thing is heat. It gets too much heat, it's going to fry. It's the same way with those incandescent bulbs. They're used to running at a high temperature. They had filaments. They were, kind of delicate and everything, hung between 2 wires, and eventually they just burn out. And the same thing with, like this one on its high mode. It comes on. It doesn't show you all the stuff on the back. It's got a little manual on it. It comes on and it gets warm. I mean, it warms you right here. This is not telling you what the color index is. It's telling you, hey, this is hot. Whereas over here, Olight usually tells you what the color index is. It's not warning you about getting hot. Now, the thing about these turbo modes are, now they've got a little computer inside that, a thermistor that regulates as the temperature goes up, the resistance goes up. It measures, hey, we're getting too much heat. We're going to turn ourselves off. So they've advanced with electronics and everything. They've gotten much, much better. I mean, the amount of light, even out of one of these little lights right here, is more than you would get from a 5D cell flashlight. It's just a little tiny flashlight, but it's amazing what they'll do with that. So, I don't know, I'm just ranting and raving about Olight, I know. I dislike that they use proprietary batteries sometimes, but in this case, on the AA, they managed to get more performance out of it by using a proprietary voltage and a proprietary battery. You can still drop other batteries in it. I like that. Now with this one right here, this is an 18650 size. Because of the proprietary, charging everything, they say that they have to set it up where you have to use just their batteries because they've got 2 poles on one side. Well, you know what? It's also in the way you orient it also, because the S1R2, the negative is sticking up. And you could throw any 18650 in there. It just wouldn't charge through the tail cap, but you could still use it. This one, no. You're going to have to use one of their batteries. So that's kind of a negative, but that being said, that S1R2, I've got the original battery in it. I use it a lot, and it's never worn out. So there's kind of like built-in obsolescence if these batteries are no longer supported, which they seem to be, so that might not be a case. But that's just one of those heads up. That's just one of the things that people don't like about Olight is the price, and they tend to be pricey compared to other, lesser known brands and stuff, and the performance. But what I'm saying is now, eventually Olight listens. It takes a while for a company to change stuff around, and the biggest complaint was they were using cool white emitters on all of their flashlights. That's the only thing it had, was cool white, cool white, cool white. People that do photography or people that are looking for things with natural color want neutral white. And then some people that have that old school feeling want warm white. I don't know what the full attraction for warm white is, but it's less harsh on your eyes. Cool white is like working under fluorescent lights. You know how it's bright and everything, but if you work at it, man, eye strain at the end of the day. And I've worked in a lot of factories that had fluorescent lighting. So I usually try to go for neutral white if it's available in a flashlight, just because of the color. Yeah, it's not going to show up very well on this. I'm not ready for like beam shots and everything. Cool white compared to, see, this is your Kelvin rating, everything. This is also another, neutral white. Both of these are in neutral white. This one, it doesn't say, so it's going to be, the harsh glaring type of cool white, which it helps if you're trying to spot things at a distance. Anyway, you can pretty much find your form factor. Whatever size light you like, whatever company you like, whatever. We're really living in the golden age of flashlights. I'm almost I haven't come up from the candle age where everybody was, we did use candles back in the day sometime, usually like anybody would now during a hurricane or something like that. We had, we weren't walking around with little lanterns. Coleman lanterns we would have with propane and, stuff like that, or gasoline. But the flashlights have really come a long way, and it's just interesting to see the advancement that lights do. Because like I said, Olight, they at least listen to their customers, and they try to make improvements. And there's always usually like a slight, sometimes it's just a different color change. That I've been hooked on that though before, like if you get into a color, you're like, ooh, I've already got one of those, but I don't have one of those in orange. And it's anodized. It's not like you can just go out and spray paint it, So, there you go. I know that's just like the pros and cons of getting into flashlights and how they've advanced. I've got more flashlights than I need, I got like one on my head. And it's pretty cool because, again, it's a little right angle flashlight that's magnetic. So you can stick it on something, and when you're working on it, like this particular battery on this old Samsung, it was exploding, or it was basically bulging out, and all I did was super glue the case. to keep it from bulging more. This is just a case protector, but I mean, I had super glued the sides to keep it from bulging as much. I mean, yeah, that's temporary fix, but I was using that for quite a while, and in the back of my mind I was thinking, lithium battery bulging, not a good thing. And you shouldn't throw these in the trash either, because like it says, don't throw it in the trash, recycle it somewhere or take it somewhere, because lithium, I'll be glad when we get away from lithium as a battery source. Yeah, it has a lot of capacity, but it's a fire hazard. This thing is so... They say that your chance of getting burnt in a lithium, because of a lithium battery, is 1 in 10 million. Still, that's 1 in 10 million. I'd like to eliminate that 1 out of 10 million, or dying basically from a lithium fire. The more they use this, now they've got a new battery technology coming on, sodium ion, which is basically salt. It doesn't have the same problems as lithium, and it's more readily available than lithium. Sodium is, all over the place. So, as battery stuff advances, these things might become old school, or I could even see in the future where they would say, you need to get rid of all those because they contain lithium. Just like asbestos. They thought asbestos was cool. They put it in schools. I remember my dad my dad was into jewelry making and everything. My first wife also got into doing that also, and she had a pile of asbestos dust, so you could set stuff in there and hit the flame to it. Asbestos dust, Everybody thought that was cool. Look at it; it's so useful and versatile and everything. And what happens? Turns out that it's bad for you in many ways. So, I don't want to sound like an old guy ranting and raving, which I am, but I'll be glad when we get away from lithium batteries, where we have something that's not as hazardous to the environment or you. That being said, I charged this one many a time with the case bulging, and yeah, I was just asking for it. But now I've changed that out, and I have a phone. Like I said, I was using this one for live streams and stuff, and it's involved. It's not like just taking the battery out of the other ones. I had to take the whole case apart. They gave me, with this battery replacement thing, it was like $20. They gave me a bunch of little tiny screwdrivers, they're not bad, but this head on here, oh man, it's almost useless. I got out my Weehaws and took it apart with that, but you had to use a 000 Phillips to take this thing apart. They gave me a little plastic pry thing that I broke because the battery is glued. It's like a double stick tape in there. It's glued into the back of the case. And I was cautious about that because, you don't want to bend or mess with a lithium battery. And here I am trying to pull this thing apart. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. That's my little rant and ramble about the orange lights and lithium lights and lights in general, I guess. So, the main thing to think about is, even though they're talking about a glim and dark future and everything, just get yourself a light. Just get yourself a light. See? Like this. Keep calm. Use your flashlight. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.